Good evening to this Wednesday edition of FSU Weather. I'm student meteorologist Jake Taylor.
And I'm meteorologist Jonathan Bellis. And it's been a really rough day across parts of the Mid-South.
The state's extending really from the center all the way down to the south. I mean, a huge ice storm currently moving off through the northern Carolina up to Virginia right now.
Yeah, it started in Arkansas last night. They had, in some places, a tenth to a quarter of an inch, which is enough to cause some damage to those power lines and the trees there, and that translated into Tennessee and Kentucky today.
Well, yeah, and besides direct damage, we've got quite a few flight cancellations. I believe 1,200 is the number we're up to right now, with over 3,000 delays. Virginia and North Carolina issued states of emergency today.
Yeah, and there's plenty of road closures. A lot of the interstates in that area, I-20, 30, and 40, are all impacted from east to west. And that system is going to roll into the Carolinas late tonight into tomorrow.
Yeah, and for right now, we're actually going to see a bit of a drop here locally, too, in temperature. We could be seeing temperatures, possibly record temperature on Thursday of 40 degrees as our high.
Yeah, that's for the high. For the low, we could be in the low to mid-20s here in the Big Bend, even down all the way to the coast seeing a hard freeze.
So we're going to keep our eyes over the next couple of days. But right now, like I said, the big ice storm moving off, actually affecting western Tennessee as we speak. Just very dangerous conditions. We've had a few fatalities, mostly from vehicular accidents. So
yeah, let's go ahead and pull up that satellite and radar here across the eastern part of the country. We're looking snow for most of the lower Ohio Valley, ice along the Tennessee Valley, and working into the Carolinas now. This is causing lots of travel troubles across that section of the country from northern Tennessee into Kentucky. Out west, though, we're talking a couple of flurries for the Intermountain West. The big problem is going to be across the east over the next 24 to 36 hours, rainfall across the Mississippi Valley, and this is really a double-barrel threat here. We've got the snow up north, ice in the middle, and then the rain down south. But the unspoken story here is going to be this cold air off towards the west. These are teens, 20s, and 30s off towards the west, diving in from the north. And these are going to reach us as we reach into Wednesday morning and Thursday morning. The real story here is going to be that cold air here in Tallahassee on Thursday, and then we're going to warm up all the way into the mid-70s as we head into the early parts of next week. But really, this cold front is going to be bringing us rain here in the south, and that's about it.
Well, we just saw on the graphic there, those pinks in between the greens and the bluish colors. That's the mix, but below it, that's the rain. And the rain's going to be all over the south, really from Georgia down to Florida is the main areas we're watching right now. Half an inch is expected in most locations.
Yeah, thankfully there aren't any severe storms in this mix, but there could be a couple of thunderstorms from Louisiana over into our neck of the woods during the overnight hours here. Not really any severe aspect to this right now.
But keep in mind over the next day or two, as you are traveling north, especially along several of the major interstates, you could still see big travel problems, conditions along the way.
As you go up I-75 from here to Atlanta and then farther north, you're going to run into changing phases of precipitation there, heading up into some icy roadways north of Atlanta.
Yeah, as soon as that front moves through, high pressure sits in, colder temperatures are going to drop. But speaking of colder temperatures locally, Katharine, why don't you go ahead and show us some details on that?
Even so, we have had wonderful temperatures, wonderful weather, but as you can see, we're moving into a cool down starting on Thursday, and it's going to be warming up as we reach the end of the weekend, so that's always good. So moving in, you can see lots of clouds coming in from the west, hitting the Big Bend area, especially Tallahassee. We're really covered up in this area, and that's all the way, that's from today. And right now you can see temperatures very consistent, warming up a lot through southern Georgia and getting coolest right down by the coast. Tallahassee sitting at a nice 64 degrees, so we can be expecting a nice night tonight. It'll be very windy though, so watch out for that. Very rainy and lots of wind coming in from the south, moving northward. And as we see our moisture, lots of moisture in the air, especially over Tallahassee area. It's moving east, and you will see that expressed in the heavy amount of rain we'll be seeing tonight and into tomorrow. You can see all of this precipitation, especially in the northern Georgia, northern Alabama area, and lots of cloud cover coming through Tallahassee. And like I said, you'll be expressed with this high amount of precipitation coming through tonight and tomorrow. What you can expect for the next day or so, we've got a low pressure system bringing in a cold front down through Tallahassee, and you can see a lot of rain right where we are. So you can see this low pressure system moving through, bringing lots of cold air. So over the next couple of days, you will be seeing much cooler temperatures. For boating, you can see we've got 3 to 6 foot waves for tomorrow, wind at 10 to 15 knots. So a small craft warning. The sunrise will be wonderful around 7:16 a.m. As we move into tonight, it will be very rainy. So if you'll be out tonight around the upper hours, just be prepared for that. Lots of wind, and then temperatures in Tallahassee around 60 degrees. Tomorrow, you can see we've dropped a little bit, cooling a little bit, 100% chance of rain, so be prepared for that. And as we move into the week ahead, we can see tomorrow is going to be extremely rainy, moving in through a partly cloudy day on Wednesday and very, very cold Thursday and Friday, so be prepared. Sunday and Monday will be warming up. So yeah, current temperatures.
So, Katharine, welcome to FSU Weather. We love to have you here. Great first forecast for us. And we're going to continue into it, zooming out to the southeast just a little bit. Check out these temperatures already cooling down north of us. 28 out in Charlotte, 23 in Nashville, 24 out in Memphis. We're still sitting pretty mid-60s, 64 degrees in Tallahassee. You could expect that to change over the next 24 hours. Once we get into Thursday and Friday, maybe some record-breaking high temperatures. We'll get into that in just a little bit. But you could see with your 24-hour temperature change where that cold front has already moved through, you can see it right there is where the dividing line is right now. 16 degrees cooler in Shreveport than it was yesterday. As we move even further west, it gets even colder, 30 to 40 degrees colder in some areas than it was yesterday. So it is getting quite cold out there, warmer in the southeast. But ladies, gentlemen, don't get used to it because it's going to change very quickly. And you can see again where that front is. Winds coming out of the south still in Florida, out of the east in Wilmington. But right here, right out of the north, that Arctic air making its way all the way down into Tupelo, Little Rock, Shreveport, and really where you can see the dividing line. That's where your front is right there, and it's going to move its way to the east overnight. That's where we're going to get all that rain. And you can see where the rain is right now. Your relative humidity of 92% in Atlanta showing that it's very, very moist outside. Probably a lot of rain really just in this area. Up north, you got snow, a lot of winter storm warnings and some ice storm warnings. We'll zoom out to the rest of the nation with Jake in just a minute. But we'll go ahead and go into your clouds and precip, and you can see all the rain. This line of storms is what's going to be making its way into our area and to the north. This is where you have a lot of ice and freezing rain. Very dangerous situation out in Tennessee. We'll talk about one person in Kansas that has already been killed due to some ice on the roads. And then further north is where you have all that winter storm warnings. A lot of snow accumulation is going to be going on up there. Unfortunately, into Boston again later this week. Not a good sign for them. Has not been a good winter. But you can see your rainfall forecast as we move in. This rainfall is just going to move its way further east. We're looking at about 0.4 of an inch in Tallahassee. Some local areas, 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch, maybe even an inch, and an inch out in Atlanta. They're going to be getting a lot of rain. And as we move through the rest of the week, it's going to continue that rain into Orlando, Miami, and a couple showers even in Key West. But for tonight, 60 in Tallahassee, 33 in Atlanta, 38 in Montgomery. And check out those, ladies and gentlemen. Watch that temperature go down for your high temperature tomorrow. 57. Cooler up north. But John and Jake, I know you guys got one more story for us, but this cold, I am not looking forward to it.
It's going to be cold here, but the warm spot in the country, surprisingly, up in the northwest right now.
Seattle is actually possibly going to experience their warmest winter on record in the next few days.
They're going to be in the 50s and 60s, so not as warm as we were here today, but they're going to be comparatively warmer than they normally would be in February.
Yeah, the good news is as this front moves on, high pressure is really going to sit in the northwest, the southwest, even southeast. We'll be seeing high pressure really sit in. But there will be, in the central plains region, there'll be a stalled front that might give them some rain chances, but things are going to really be calming down.
Yeah, that's going to be the place in the country where you're going to want to be, is really out west, away from all this ice, snow, and the rain here across the southeast.
It really is interesting to note, though, that we're seeing these just frigid temperatures, and then other areas are seeing these other extremes where they're seeing possibly temperatures that are going to be even warmer than they've ever seen.
Yeah, it seems like when somebody goes up in temperatures, somebody else has to go down. And unlucky for us here, if you don't like the cold, it's going to be down here in the southeast and up out west.
Well, yeah, I mean, but moving on, let's take a better look at the national map. We can get a little more in depth. Watches and warnings. There we go. Pop them up. We have an ice storm warning actually sitting right now in Tennessee, western Tennessee. It is moving off towards our east. That's the big, one of the big danger zones right now. Winter weather warning also from extending really up into Virginia, North Carolina. Both have declared states of emergency, and this is our big hot zone right now in terms of dangerous conditions. As you mentioned, lots of road problems and dangerous road conditions. We've already had a few fatalities over this event, but looking at our 24-hour temperature change. Now, this is the difference, as it says, over the past day. And as this front moves along, Braden pointed out the line right about here, negative 30 degrees over the past 24 hours in Dallas, then moving off to San Antonio, negative 24, Albuquerque, negative 14. So these are huge temperature drops. And then on the other side of it, of the front, plus 11. So they're recovering from what they had seen, and then plus 5 in Kansas City. So big event moving through, very strong, bringing quite a few situations right now where it's just not safe to be on the road, especially. But mentioned Seattle, they're going to be sitting around at around the 60 range, quite warm for them actually in February. All around here, high pressure will be setting in, but for now, quite a few clouds and rainy conditions, and then moving off towards the southeast, 64 in Tallahassee with clouds, and then the hot zone right now, Tennessee, Virginia, North Carolina, and really up towards the northeast, still seeing that low move off towards the northeast, bringing them quite a bit of snow and ice. But like we said, Seattle looking pretty clear compared to over here. We have the pink colors are the mix between ice and rain. The green and yellows are the rain itself, so that's what we'll be seeing here in the southeast. And then move up north, you see the blues and whites, that's our ice, creating the hazardous conditions, the dangerous conditions we've seen all throughout the northeast today, prompting several governors to declare their states of emergency. So nothing to play around with if you're out over the next few days on the roads. But for our conditions here in Tallahassee, this lineup here, moving through Jackson, moving through to Alabama, will be passing through tonight. We'll see some chances of rain going up. Want to keep your eyes on it. And once again, moving west in Tennessee and into the Carolinas is our big snow event. We're going to be bringing more snow and rain and ice throughout the evening. But over here, things are looking pretty clear. High pressure will be setting in behind the front. And airport delays, we've had about 1,200 of them thus far. Or cancellations, the delays were up to 3,000. So big deal there too for your travel. For tonight, that's not a temperature difference. That's negative 2 degrees for Minneapolis, 15 degrees Kansas City. And then we're moving over to Tallahassee, 60 degrees. These guys are still sitting very cold temperatures. And then as he pointed out, our high actually goes down for tomorrow. So you see we have that cold air moving in. But let's bring it back locally. Today we didn't see much sunshine at all. Quite a few clouds moving in to 6 p.m. this evening. Just had quite a few clouds as this front moves along. Currently mid-60s is really the story. 63 St. Mark's, 64 in Tallahassee, all around the board. And then down there 64 in Carabel. But wind direction telling you the same thing about the front. We have it right here moving off in this direction, but as the front passes, doesn't tell you the great story right now, but as it does pass, the winds are going to come from the opposite direction. So we're already seeing that off towards the northwest. And let's give you another look at the southeast effect. Clouds for us, but we will see rain tonight and into tomorrow as this front moves off towards the northeast. The low moves off, see our rain, and then it continues off. Things need to be clearing up, and then the cold blast moves in. Will be a very cold couple of days. We might see record high temperature of 40 degrees for February, moving into Thursday, excuse me. You're gonna have to keep your eyes on it. But tonight, Brazilian Carnival at FSU. Gonna keep the rain. Will be kicking up. Got to keep an eye on the skies for your clouds and precipitation. Bring a coat for it. Winds are going to be pretty calm. 60 degrees is what we have right now. 7 p.m. to 8:30 tonight. For tonight's forecast, 100% chance of rain. It will be raining tonight. And then 60 degrees, rainy night, steady temperatures. So keep your eyes on it. Then for tomorrow, 57 degrees. The rain will be continuing. Another 100% chance of rain. So we will see some rain tomorrow. Temperatures are going to start to drop. We really need to keep our eyes on it. And then looking ahead through the week, 57 degrees on Tuesday, 51, and then the cold blast. Moving down to 40 with our lows in the mid-20s, and then moving off, going to have things in the mid-70s on Sunday and Monday. But Braden and Katharine, what do you got for us?
Well, Jake, we have quite an interesting story for you. You might have seen the video going around lately. A lot of people are posting about it. But Jim Cantori of the Weather Channel kind of just acted a fool out in the thunder snow.
Did see that.
Very interesting. But we're going to talk a little bit about what thunder snow is. And if you can imagine, in Florida, we see a lot of thunderstorms, different things like that. But what is the difference, Katharine?
Well, I don't know. Why don't you tell us?
Well, you know, thunder snow is kind of a combination between a thunderstorm and a snowstorm.
Okay.
So you have the thunder and the lightning, and then you also have the snow. And what the snow does is make the thunder sound much louder, much more ominous, because sound waves can actually more effectively bounce off snowflakes than raindrops.
So basically, you've just got a thunderstorm, but you're getting snow with your thunderstorm.
Exactly.
Okay.
And, you know, it's very rare. We don't see it that often, maybe 2 or 3 times a winter. And when we do see it, it's a really good indicator of a stronger cold front.
Okay.
So what we have is, especially today and yesterday, University of Oklahoma has been seeing a lot of thunder sleet, which is kind of the mix between rain and snow. And a lot of thunder snow has actually been happening today, is where Jim Cantori saw it and has been getting those crazy videos where he's just like, oh my God,
It's
again.
Very interesting sort of phenomenon we're seeing right now.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's pretty cool.
So we're going to keep talking. And actually, with that thunder snow, we also have ice. And actually, one person has died in an ice-related car accident in Kansas already.
Oh, goodness.
So definitely a lot of danger, and that is why we canceled last year for that ice. But we'll go ahead, take it back out to John, who will be talking about the Sunshine State and why it won't be so sunny for the next couple of days.
Yeah, no ice here, and not a whole lot of sun left either. Even those lighter clouds starting to swallow up South Florida here. Lots of rain off towards the west. We're going to stay in the wet variety here. No ice or snow here across the Panhandle. Expected a couple of sprinkles starting to pick up in the western Panhandle, starting to pick up in Pensacola, but the real line is going to be picking up during the overnight hours tonight and into the early morning hours. Look at this line just to the west of the Florida Panhandle here down into Louisiana. That is a cool front, and that's going to march its way into our area. But for now, we're talking about 60s and 70s across the entire state of Florida. Those clouds starting to pick up here across the Panhandle, sunny down south. Winds out of the south as well, bringing lots of moisture and a little bit of gusty conditions across the Panhandle as well. And these winds are going to pick up as we head through the next 12 to 24 hours. Winds as this front comes through could be upwards of 30 miles per hour in some locations. Humidity across the entire area, kind of soupy across the Panhandle, a little bit drier down towards the south, especially over near Gainesville. Don't want that swamp drying up down there, but there will be rain falling there tomorrow afternoon. Here's what it looks like right now. Lots of rain up towards the north, snow north of that, across the Tennessee Valley and into the Ohio Valley, down towards the south. That line is kind of falling apart down towards Louisiana, down towards New Orleans, over towards Lake Charles, and this is going to continue to push off towards the east with a broken line of showers during the overnight hours, reaching Tallahassee about 3 a.m. and keeping the clouds down towards the south. It's going to be a very cloudy night during the overnight hours tonight. Here across the peninsula, all the way down to Miami, they saw temperatures in the 70s today. Tomorrow they're going to be closer to 80 degrees in some spots before this front marches on through. But behind this front, we're going to be talking about the 30s and 40s. Temperatures will be at the highest point here in Tallahassee, close to midnight, falling quite quickly after this front pushes through during the early morning hours. This is going to push off towards the south. We have a secondary cool front coming in on Wednesday evening, and this is going to bring in much colder temperatures as we head into the middle and end of the week. Some of our computer models are showing temperatures down into the low to mid-20s across the entire Panhandle, hard freeze all the way down to the coast, all the way down to the Big Bend as well, possibly 30s and 40s, all the way down into the I-4 region, possibly all the way down to Lake Okeechobee with the 40s down towards the south. But before this front reaches down there, we're going to be in the 60s and 70s, so it's going to be about a 20 to 30 degree drop as the secondary front pushes through down straight from the poles, and it's going to be quite windy as this front pushes through. Tonight we're sitting at 44 degrees in Pensacola, 60 degrees. It's actually going to be our warmest temperature for the next 24 hours here in Tallahassee. Down towards the south, though, we're going to be in the 60s overnight, and then we'll be falling here in Tallahassee with those clouds and that rain pushing through during the overnight hours. 57 degrees in Tallahassee for tomorrow. That's the high, and that's going to happen very close to midnight here in the Big Bend. Look down south, it's still in the 80s, but we're going to take a look now around the wintry side of the planet here with Braden.
Yeah, and you know, John, first of all, let's look at how your 7 days are going to work out. We're going to talk about your cold weather forecast, and it's going to get really cold, and that's really all we want to talk about. And here is your cold weather forecast. It's got a cute little penguin, and as we know, it really is going to get cold. And we're going to show you why it's getting cold. First of all, with this big winter storm, which is really just taking over the area. You see the pinks are your winter storm warnings, your purples are your winter storm advisories, and really, if you're just in these states, the Carolinas, into West Virginia, Kentucky, Virginia, even into southern Ohio, you are looking at a lot of winter weather making your way through the area. And you can see we'll start from the west where there's just a little bit of snow out into the mountains of Billings, down into Denver, snow showers. But as we move further east, that is where we are seeing the big snowmaker as opposed to rainmaker. Right here, getting big accumulations out into West Virginia, parts of Washington, D.C. So if you are in the capital city of the United States tonight, you are seeing a lot of snow. And as we dip further south, this is where it's getting really dangerous, where you have this mixed precipitation, all this sleet, all these purples that you see on the map. That is where you're getting the ice. That is where the ice storm warnings are out in parts of Tennessee and even a little bit into Kentucky. And out there is where you are seeing the most dangerous conditions. The roads are slick, black ice. We're going to go back to the desk and talk about that in just a minute. But that is where we are seeing the majority of the bad weather. And as we move further south, where it will be affecting us, all this rain, I'll step out of the way real quick just so we could show you the rain that is just making its way into our area, starting with tonight and making its way into tomorrow morning. So here's what to expect. You have this cold front right here making its way to the east. Rain very early Tuesday morning. That's when we're going to see the bulk of it. And as we go ahead and put this into motion more, that's when we see this Arctic air, this very cold air making its way into our area. Wednesday night, it's going to be right on our doorstep. And once we hit Thursday, it's going to be right into Tallahassee. Big high pressure system is going to be in control over the next 5 or 6 days after this. And, you know, we might just get a nice warm up for the weekend. Stay tuned for that. But as we go in to your rainfall, you're going to see these numbers increase into Tallahassee and Atlanta. We've seen this before. About 0.3 of an inch is what we're expecting as the time goes on. But as we go into tomorrow, 57 out in Tallahassee, 64 in Valdosta, 57 out in Albany. Wednesday, even lower, only the lower 50s, 51 in Tallahassee, Albany, and Dothan. And as we go into Thursday, only 40 degrees for your high temperature in Tallahassee. So let me tell you, we are expecting those cold temperatures, and we are expecting them to last for quite a while until Sunday and into Monday, when we will be reaching the mid to upper 70s.
Wow.
As we get a nice taste of spring this weekend. But back to the black ice, is what we were talking about before.
Right.
Very thin layer of ice on the road causes a lot of slickness, really dangerous for the vehicles out there.
We see it has already claimed the life of a Kansas man, you said, right?
That's right, and state of emergency out in parts of Virginia as well for the dangerous conditions really out there. A lot of times freezing rain can land on the power lines, weigh them down, and even throw some power lines down, knock out power.
Oh my goodness. So we've got a super villain in our black ice. So if you're in those areas, make sure you're watching out for that.
Absolutely. Luckily, we won't have to deal with that. For us, only some rain. Computer models showed a little bit of sleet in our area about a week ago, but don't expect that anymore. But we'll go ahead and take it out to Tyler for one final local.
Yeah, we're not going to see any wintry precipitation around the area. You're going to have to go about 200 miles north of us for that. But we will see a lot of rain tonight into tomorrow. The rain should really start around midnight, but we might see a couple of showers before then, before a gigantic, and I can't stress how big this is, a cool down on Thursday, how big it is, because we're talking about the coldest temperatures of the season, and it's February, so it's pretty weird to have such cold temperatures so late in the season. But we'll warm back up just as fast as we cool down, in fact, even warmer. Clouds right now are coming in from the west to the east, really indicative of showing that cold front coming through, which will come through in about 12 to 18 hours. It's right over New Orleans, Louisiana, and I feel really bad for those people doing Mardi Gras and Mardi Gras, because they are going to go from t-shirts to sweaters in a very short period of time, just like we will tomorrow. So right now, 64 degrees in Tallahassee. The dew point's very high, 57, and the humidity is high as well, 78%. The wind's coming out of the south that will actually help bring in more moisture, which will cause some rain tonight. Across the Big Bend, middle 60s for most of us, 64 in Tallahassee, 67 in Mariana. Again, because of the clouds, it's a pretty uniform temperature distribution across much of the region. So what to expect? You can see the low pressure with the cold front right now over Baton Rouge, Louisiana. This will continue to go eastward as we progress through the night. We'll see some rain in Tallahassee, start around midnight and pick up in intensity around 3 o'clock. The morning commute will be wet, especially further east, but hopefully will bring in cooler and drier conditions before the morning commute. Stay tuned for that. The Arctic blast will come in Wednesday with a reinforcing shot of some colder and drier air, bringing in the coldest air of the season. If you're going on the beach and boating, it's really not going to be the best day. Northwest winds 10 to 15 knots, 3 to possibly 6 foot offshore. Small cloud advisory is in effect. If you don't have to go out, I suggest you not, especially during the showers and thunderstorms. Tonight, we're going to go for upper 50s, lower 60s. Temperatures won't drop too much because of the rain. And for tomorrow, temperatures will drop all the way through the day into the 50s, 40s, and then the 30s. And then, as I alluded to, the 7-day forecast, ridiculously cold temperatures come in Wednesday and Thursday. 40 degrees for Thursday, that's pretty much a record low high temperature, but we'll warm back up to the upper 60s to lower 70s. The good news is that it will be the sunshine state for much of the week, and that will continue all the way into next weekend. But now let's send it back to the desk.
All right, thank you very much, Tyler. We've been talking about the weather a lot today. Definitely a lot of things going on. But we have always stuff going on at FSU. Student Life Cinema, what do we got playing tonight?
Well, it seems we've got The Devil Wears Prada tonight at 7:30 p.m. So if you are prepared to bear these rain, I would definitely recommend going out.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a good movie, one I used to like. And as Katharine said, prepare for rain if you're heading out to the SLC, to Carnival at the Globe. Going to be some great events going on campus, but you want to make sure you bring an umbrella for your way home.
Most definitely, 100% chance of rain, so be prepared.
Absolutely, and we're going to continue that into your 7-day forecast. You can see that on Tuesday, that 100% chance of rain, but Katharine, it's looking great for the rest of the week after that.
Thursday and Friday, you'll definitely see sunny but cold days, which is beautiful.
Yeah, and we'll see a nice warm-up Sunday into Monday, mid-70s, a nice taste of spring. But as always, you could like us on Facebook.com/FSU Weather, follow us on Twitter.com/FSU Weather, and watch us anytime on Livestream.com/FSU Weather, YouTube.com/FSU Weather, and as always, share with us your pictures on Instagram. So Katharine, welcome to FSU Weather. You did a great job today for your first time on camera. We're glad to have you, and we are signing off.
Thank you, Braden.
So I'm student meteorologist Braden Robinson.
I'm student meteorologist Katharine Krueger.
And you guys have a wonderful night.